It's a rare and distinct privilege to be nominated for this award. It's one which most of us in this room will never be nominated for. We're proud and humbled to work alongside those nominees and to wear the same uniform of those whom are sworn. Henry Ford once said, "Whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right." These nominees today believe that they could. They're can-do people. And they believe that they could make a difference in somebody's life. With that, we're very proud of them for their performance and for their very positive attitudes and their commitment to this community. I also want to take time to acknowledge, in light of this very important and joyous event, that many of us come here today with a very heavy heart. We lost a member of our family this weekend, Sergeant Paul Mefford. And Paul finally succumbed to a very courageous battle with cancer. Paul very honorably served the city of St. Paul as a police officer. He served his country as a Marine. And he served his family as a son, a husband, a father, and a friend. So with that, I'd like to take just a moment, in a moment of silence, to remember Sergeant Paul Mefford. Thank you.
Let us pray. Heavenly God, throughout history you have set before us people who are models of behavior. Various prophets, saints, teachers, and martyrs who offered you the best that they could. People such as Abel and his gifts, the sacrifices of Noah, the burnt offerings of Abraham, the priestly offices of Moses and Aaron, and the peace offerings of Samuel. Today, bless all of the officers of our venerable city, which bears the name of your greatest apostle, St. Paul. Bless them as they offer their best to protect us, to serve us, to keep us safe and secure. Bless especially those officers whom we recognize today, Michael and Eric, William, Lissa, Julia, and finally your departed servant Paul. May his memory be eternal. Help us to follow their conduct as models of commitment, excellence, and sacrifice. Bless them as they become models to us, to lead us and inspire us by their words and their actions. Finally, we ask that you bless the food and drink of these your servants, for your holy, always now and forever, into the ages of ages. Amen.
It's really important to recognize our officers, our civilians as well, about the exceptional work they do. You know, I often tell the officers here, have heard me say it 1,000 times, that it's not what we do, but how we do it. And our department does, our officers, with pride, partnerships, professionalism. They do their job with compassion and empathy to others. And that's what makes me one of the proudest chiefs of police in the country. We have a great department. We're going to recognize some great work today, and I'm really proud to be in front of you here this afternoon. You know, as a chief, I quickly learned, and I'm going on 2 years now in June, that one of the best parts of my job is today, because we get to recognize all of this work. But I also learned that one of the most difficult parts of my job is recognizing the people, and also how there's so many good people, selecting those who are going to be the nominees that you're going to get to hear about this afternoon. That's really difficult. And I want everybody to know here that we really take a lot of time to screen the candidates that you will hear about today, both sworn and civilian, and it goes through a long process. Some people in this room would probably tell me too long of a process, but we won't get into that. But there's a reason why we scrutinize this every single year, because it's a tradition of a department that's been around for 157 years, with a family and a tradition of excellence that you will not find any other place in the land. And I know that because I've studied with people from throughout the country. I have friends that are chiefs of police of other organizations, And when it comes to dedication and commitment, you will never find finer civilians or sworn staff than those that are here today. I also want to thank and welcome our two newest council members that are here. I see that Ms. Brenmoen is back there, and Councilmember Tolbert is back there, because you are now part of our tradition as well. It's a strong tradition. I know that Councilmember Bostrom, who is here with us, would tell you much about tradition. I've heard Dan talk about tradition. I know the pride that he has, and we are so happy to have all of our council members here with us here today. We're going to start off today with the Detective of the Year Award, and I just want to set some ground rules here that I will talk about the candidates, and then we will have them come up. But I want to start with kind of following up with what Commander Iovino said, because the two candidates today are Sergeant Bill Haider and Sergeant Paul Mefford. You know, Paul talked about Sergeant Paul Mefford and his family's here with us today, and I am so honored that you are here. I'm amazed that you're here, and we are part of your family, and I hope that you know that. Paul's father and mother, Melba, I'm going to call him Sarge, but Gerald is here. They're sitting at the table right behind the head table here, and the rest of his family, his daughters, his son, are here with us today to celebrate. So I want to keep it kind of light. And I just wanted to say before I get into reading the two different citations here that Paul would want us to keep this light. I knew Paul very well. And in fact, if Paul was here right now, and I know that he is here with us, he would say to smile, to laugh, and tell some funny stories. But I want all of you to know that, you know, Paul is a Marine through and through. I mean, Paul worked on Saturday. We had to force him to go home because he just wouldn't leave work. And the funny part is he wanted to stop at the store and get some cigarettes on the way home too. And Paul would want me to say that because I used to talk to Paul about that. And he was more worried about covering a shift on Sunday. There's a reason to why I'm telling you this story. He was more worried about covering a shift on Sunday because we have people that do hold books for people that are arrested over the weekend, and Paul had that duty, than anything else. I don't know that Paul would have went to the hospital. He would have somehow found someone to drag him to work on Sunday, no matter how hard it was for him to breathe or anything else, so that he could be there to do his job. Why do I tell you this? Because I started off by telling you this is the finest department in the land. These men and women are committed to serving the public more than anybody else, and Paul was the epitome of that. He would rather come to work no matter how sick he was, and he was seriously ill, and he left us way too soon. I was at the hospital with his family, and none of us expected this to happen as quickly as it did. But he would have dragged himself to work because he cared about all of you that are sitting in here today. And to me, if we can give him a round of applause now, and I will go forward with the rest of the program. Let's give Paul and his family a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to keep the rest light, and I will start first for Detective of the Year, Sergeant Bill Haider. Bill started with the St. Paul Police Department in 1984 and was promoted to sergeant in 2001. He has worked in each district in the juvenile unit. Since 2003, he's been assigned to the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force. Sergeant Haider was nominated for his outstanding investigative skills with Internet crimes. Many agencies turn to him for general advice how to apply the law and to teach Internet-related investigations. And although his work primarily focuses on child exploitation and pornography, he also investigates other Internet crime. In 2008, Bill received a complaint from someone in England regarding an online predator using deception to manipulate people to commit suicide. Many of you have read about that even recently in the paper. The suspect lived in Minnesota and was eventually charged in 2011 after years of hard work and dedication. The high-profile international case required documenting a large volume of digital evidence and coordinating with agencies in Canada and England, both countries where suicide victims had resided. Through his skillful interviewing techniques, he was able to obtain an admission of guilt from the suspect. And during the 3 years of this complicated investigation and trial, he remained dedicated to bringing justice and closure to the victims' families. You know, Bill, we read from the citation, I can tell you that that's just a small snapshot, a small tidbit of what he really does. I'm amazed by what Billy does. He is not only respected locally here in the state of Minnesota or in the Midwest, he's recognized nationally and most likely internationally and has won awards for his work. I know it's tough. Billy's a tough guy. And I know that I probably, if I would have asked him 10 years ago, Bill, do you ever think that you're going to sit in an office and you got to look at all this stuff that's really difficult to look at all the time and provide those investigations? You probably would have told me I was crazy, number one. But I give so much credit for what Bill does because he helps so many agencies in the state. And we're talking about our children here. We're talking about children. We're talking about pornography. We're talking about exploitation. We're talking about the linkages to sex trafficking. I mean, this guy really gets it all. So I just wanted to give you that as well. Next nominee, Sergeant Paul Mefford. Paul started with the St. Paul Police Department in 1994 and was promoted to sergeant in 1998. He has worked in Central, the Traffic and Accident Unit, the Force Unit, our Special Intelligence Unit, and is currently assigned to our Domestic Violence Unit. Sergeant Meffert was nominated for his efforts related to domestic violence and the violent crime investigations he conducted. He has developed many relationships within the community to combat these problems, including our friends that are here from the St. Paul Intervention Project, Women's Advocates, Children's Safety Centers, Somali Outreach, and Asian Women of Minnesota, just to name a few. These relationships reinforce his personal commitment that no one will fight the battle alone and there will always be a community response to each problem. He displays professionalism and teamwork by assisting with other cases that involve suspects or victims from previous domestic violence-related situations. And in 2011, the Family and Sexual Violence Unit began a program to increase case dispositions and provide better feedback, corrections, and other useful information to our officers. Sergeant Meffert led the way, providing the most feedback, which has increased confidence and communication between the operations and our Major Crimes Division. He is highly respected and a mentor to many. Paul was a very passionate person when he worked in our Family Violence Unit, and he truly believed in the following, that every victim, and let me say that again, every victim is worth fighting for. And he would tell you that to your face. He worked very hard with all of his fellow officers in that unit. I know he has family members also, his extended family from St. Paul Intervention, because of the work, because of the compassion and dedication. When I looked at these two individuals today, and I know it's somber because Paul's not with us, I had really no choice. This was something that I knew that was the right thing to do when I first saw all of the work that these two guys do. So for the first time ever, and I'm going to ask Bill Haider to please come up. Bill, can you come on up? We're going to have a co-award, but we're going to start with Sergeant Bill Haider, who is going to receive the Detective of the Year Award. Please, Bill's work is exceptional. Let's give him a loud round of applause.
I am sweating like a pig. Thank you, Chief, administrative staff. I really appreciate this. This is fabulous. Fabulous. Lots of people to thank. I'm going to start out with a group of people that never gets thanked, but it's a group of people that you all know who I'm talking about, our FTOs. I want to thank my FTOs. Some of them, of course, they're blasts from the past. Joe Molnar, Mike Kelly, Bruce Brott, Pete Bravo, Scott Duff, and the last guy in uniform, Senior Commander Joe Newberger. I thank them for their wisdom. I thank them for their infinite patience and for their friendship over the last many, many years. I want to thank Commander Dan Anderson, my boss, for throwing my name in there. That's a fabulous thing. Thank you, Dan. I want to thank retired Commander Neil Nelson. Neil, you're still commander to me. Neil Nelson, who I worked with for many, many years. Well, you know him. He had a huge influence in my life, and I got to give due credit. Neil was shoulder to shoulder with me when we spoke to the suspect from the internet suicide case, and we pretty much double teamed him. I want to thank my family. They're right over here. I have a lot of siblings. My mother gave birth to 8 children. First 5 were male, and I got to tell you that I was the last. So the first 4, truth be told, were pretty much practice. She pulled it all together for me, and then she had nothing left, and she had my 3 sisters. My nephews, you introduced to Lakeville and Northfield PD. Guys, thanks for driving up to the cities today. My daughter Hallie is back there next to Marcia. She's getting married in September. She's getting married to Sean. Sean, I want to thank you for marrying her. No, really, Sean. Hal has been, she knows. I want to thank my BCA peeps for coming. The heart and soul of the task force. It's a pleasure to work with them, and I had no idea they're coming. It's great to see them there. The last person I have to thank is my wife. She's not here. I thought she might have been calling when Commander Iveen answered the phone there. She is on her way to Key West with several friends to celebrate their 50th birthday. At that age, I call it the Girls Gone Sort of Wild tour. You know, our jobs, they are what they are, you know, and I, when I've started this job, I know child exploitation is different. I mean, it's unique challenges. There's been moments I've had pieces taken out of me, but I thank my wife for putting those pieces back. Thank you all. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. It's an honor and a privilege to be recognized with Paul Meffert, and I will never forget this. Thank you very, very much.
Because we're doing a, again, co-award, I'd like to call up Sergeant Paul Meffert's 3 children, Robert, Cassandra, Katiana, and we will, wait till you get up here. We're going to present Paul's award posthumously to you. We know that it's a very difficult time, but please, please take pride in knowing that all these people, especially the partners that he's worked with, are so proud of his work and accomplishment. And I hope that you take that in your hearts. And we're also, you have all of us, our hearts and prayers go out to your family. So with that, let's give a round of applause for Sergeant Paul Mefford.
Okay, I'm not much of a public speaker, but I know my dad was very proud to be a St. Paul police officer, and this was a major part of his life and our lives. And he was really, really excited for today. I remember when he called me on the phone and said that he was getting nominated for this. And I told him I was very proud of him, and he started crying. And I'm just so happy to know that he was loved so much here as much as he was loved at home with our family and our friends. And I don't know what to say. I just want to say thank you to everybody and for all the support that we have received through this hard time. And I was just overwhelmed with all the support at the hospital and who was all there and everybody in their uniforms. And I just want to say thank you on behalf of my brother and sister and the rest of our family. We're very proud of him, and we're very proud of this police department. Thank you.
And now we will recognize the Civilian Employee of the Year finalists. The two finalists are Lissa Drake and Julia Rust. Lissa Drake started with us in 1999 as a clerk typist 3 in the records unit. She was promoted to office assistant 4 in 2006 and has also worked in homicide and support services administration. She is currently assigned to the internal affairs unit. Lissa was nominated for her commitment and hard work on several projects in the internal affairs unit. As the sole administrative support in a busy and intense unit, Lissa juggles many duties and deadlines. Lissa was instrumental in completing an internal affairs audit of all IA records. And by the way, when I took over as chief, that was a monumental task for us to get done. She matched all of the IA records from 3 separate databases, and then converted the records into a new IA database. This was a very time-consuming process, but extremely important to the department. She also has had a critical function on the Brady Project. She assisted in establishing procedures to meet federal mandates regarding information that could be released. None of these projects could have been completed successfully without her organization skills, problem-solving abilities, and positive attitude. And I've got to tell you something about Lissa. For those of us, and many of us know her here or have worked, she's not sworn, but sometimes I'd say probably for her, because she knows a whole lot of stuff that I don't know and that a lot of us don't know. And Lissa is amazing with someone on a large task that can complete it not only in a great way, but in a fair way. Because some of these things, even in her current role right now in internal affairs, can be touchy things. And we gave her a monumental task. I can't tell you how proud I am of the work she's done, and she's done this no matter where she's gone. People have always highlighted and complimented the great work that Lissa does, and she's truly a very dear member of our police family. Next is Julia Rust. She started with our department in 1970. What? No. I don't want to get in trouble here, but we went to grade school and high school together. Okay, 1976. Guys, come on, back me up here. Yeah, Joe, we're afraid of Julia. Anyway, Julia did start in 1976, right after we graduated from high school, as a clerk, typist 1 in the records unit, and has also worked in the personnel unit. She was most recently promoted to Executive Assistant 2 in 2006 and is currently assigned to the Office of the Chief. Julia was nominated for exemplary work ethic and dedication to the St. Paul Police Department. As the Executive Assistant to the Chief of Police and also to Senator John Harrington, she not only maintains my schedule currently, but also screens the many queries from citizens, directors, civic leaders, and employees that have questions, complaints, and concerns. Forget what I just read on that script. You know what? She's my mom. She knows more about me and how to direct my life than my wife. When my wife wants to do something with me, usually she has to contact Julie to get it on the calendar. So she's an important person. I just wanted to put that in there. Her historical knowledge of the department is of great value in understanding why the department handles situations the way we do, because we're about history and traditions in our organization. In addition, she devotes many hours to special projects such as the collection of toys and treats for military canines, which was an amazing venture and sent all these. Remember, there's many canines serving in Afghanistan, not anymore in Iraq, but they were, and Julia worked with others to send treats and toys over to our soldiers and the dogs that worked with their handlers. She does many other things, numerous ceremonies, organizing our ceremonies and capturing the character of the department through the many photographs she has taken at department events. Her enthusiasm and dedication to the department has generated increased interest and attendance in the department's annual retiree dinner, which, by the way, this year we will celebrate our 50th anniversary of the St. Paul Police Department Retirement Dinner, which is on May 17th. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. May 7th. I got it. Her sincere commitment, excellent communication skills, and the value she places on all that she does for the integrity of the department are commendable. This was a really difficult choice. Lissa does fantastic work. Julia does fantastic work. But the winner is, and I had to select someone, for the Civilian of the Year Award, celebrating her 34th year in the St. Paul Police Department and will retire this year, Miss Julia Rust.
Hello, everyone. I am not sweating like a pig, Bill. Chief Smith, thank you for this incredible honor, but one that is bittersweet given the sudden loss of one of our own, Sergeant Paul Meffert, who was also a finalist for this ceremony. I cannot begin to tell you how much he will be missed. Congratulations to the other finalists. They all do extraordinary work day in and day out and are quite worthy of this recognition. To Lissa Drake, thank you for all you do for the department. Lissa had the tough job of getting the IA audit completed and working with a new system, which unfortunately crashed midpoint in the process, causing a tremendous amount of work. Thank you to Angie Steenberg, Lori Wollstonecroft, Chris Ryder, Senator John Harrington, Sheriff Matt Bostrom, retired commanders Ron Ryan and Don Winger for their support in endorsing my nomination. I am humbled by your kind words and only hope I am a fraction of the person you wrote about. Most importantly, thank you to my family for their constant love and support. I appreciate them taking the time out of their busy lives to attend this event. As you can imagine, it can be quite tricky at times in marriage for Lyle and I in our respective jobs. But my husband has a way of keeping me grounded. One day I asked him what he thought about a particular email I had sent out to the department, and he looked at me like I was crazy and said, "I don't read your emails, you send too many." Really, Lyle? Seriously, he is quite simply my best friend, and I look forward to the next phase of our life together. I have worked for the St. Paul Police Department for a very long time. I have seen some outstanding people, both sworn and civilian, retire over the years. I have watched many others work their way up the ranks to become excellent leaders. I take to heart the motto, duty, honor, country, and truly appreciate the sacrifices the sworn officers make while going into harm's way every day. But whether it's responding to violent domestics, dealing with shootings, gangs, and the overall darker side of life, their work wouldn't get too far without the assistance of the civilian employees. It is the partnership between the civilians and the sworn staff that produces our great results. So I'd like to take a moment and thank all of the civilians for the work they do. Please know your work is appreciated. In closing, I encourage the members of the department to remember the traditions, honor our fallen officers, stand post at the police memorial when you have the opportunity, and remember you are history in the making. It has been my honor and privilege to work for the St. Paul Police Department. It's been an incredible journey and I wouldn't change a minute. Thank you.
And now I'd like to call up Lissa Drake for honorable mention. Let's give Lissa a round of applause. Okay. Now for Officer of the Year. Finalists for the Officer of the Year this year are Officer Mike Carroll and Officer Eric Vang-Sitcler. Officer Mike Carroll, we'll start with him. Mike started with the police department in 1981 as a police community officer. He was advanced to police officer in 1986. He has worked in each district in the communications center. Officer Carroll is nominated for his dedication and proficiency as a St. Paul police officer. Since 1990, he has been assigned to the Eastern District, where he's not only performed patrol duties, but also is a stat map coordinator, multi-housing response officer, problem property liaison, and the area business contact person. In other words, as we say, he's our community policing officer for that entire district. He performs each of these duties with great enthusiasm and sincerity. As stat map coordinator, and by the way, for those of you that don't know what stat map is, and a lot of people don't, it's a bunch of little red dots on a map, for better lack of the term, but it shows us where crime has been committed and gives us hopefully some predictive, as we say in our line of work, analysis so that we can combat crime before it even occurs. And Mike's been doing that for a long time. In fact, he's an expert, and he helped to do this when we first began StatMap, because a lot of us in police lines of work, we don't like all this new technology stuff. Maybe the younger officers do. Some of us older officers still can't even turn on our computers. But Mike has always been there to help with people with the stat map on the crime analysis that he does every single week. He analyzes crime trends and compiles reports that track trends in specific geographical areas. The reports assist sergeants and commanders in focusing on crime prevention strategies. He has also been instrumental of the city's property committee and volunteered to be part of a new pilot crime prevention project co-sponsored by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, who recognize the fine work by the St. Paul Police Department. He is always professional and empathetic to the citizens and business owners, and is committed to all concern that they bring, all concerns that are brought to his attention. Next, Officer Eric Vang-Sitcler has been with the department since 1997 as a parking enforcement officer. He was advanced to police officer in 2000. He has worked in the Western District, Juvenile, the Gang Unit, and is currently assigned to the Special Intelligence Unit. Eric is nominated for his vast knowledge and work with violent crime, or gangs, and other criminals in the city of St. Paul. He has become the department expert on African American gangs and other gangs in the city. He is able to generate valuable information from his contacts and shares this information with the department to assist in cases that are under investigation and hopefully to stop violent activities from occurring in our city. He makes a point of visiting the districts and explains the complexity of gangs and why the hostility exists between them. The visual depictions of gang relationships that he has created are a great aid to all the patrol officers. He ensures that they are updated frequently and shared electronically. He spends time teaching officers to use investigative tools on the web, ensuring the critical officer safety information is quickly disseminated, and making himself available to all hours to assist whenever his expertise is needed are all positive and exemplary attributes that brings to our department. For both officers, for Mike. Mike's been in the East District for a long time, and I can tell you that anybody who's been with the St. Paul Police Department for any amount of time knows who Mike is. And the citizens know who Mike is. I know that as a chief, and although Eastern District is the only district that I never had an opportunity to work for any length of time, it's synonymous with Mike, the work that he does. There are retirees that are here in this room that would talk to you about Mike and the work that he did. Because he works with community, he really gets it. And the nice thing with Mike there is that he can also mentor our younger officers to show them what it's really all about to be a police officer in the city of St. Paul, and I'm very proud of him. With Eric, I've known Eric quite some time. I knew Eric when he was a brand new officer. I've worked alongside him. I was supervisor, commander, different things, and it used to amaze me with Eric, because remember I told you I don't know how to turn on my computer. Eric was doing stuff already as an officer, and I'm like, whoa, slow down. He's like, Commander, all you got to do is this, this, and this. So he's a guru, but he's a guru with a passion for people. I've watched Eric as he's grown in his career, another person that really understands the value of the relationships and the partnerships that I began this long speech with when we started here this afternoon with the award ceremony. So I want to thank both officers for what they do. It was a very difficult decision, but the winner this year of the Officer of the Year award is going to be Mike Carroll. Mike, will you please come up?
We're going to have to throw vanity right out the window here. Here comes the glasses. I would like to thank you all for being here. I'll first start with my family. My wife Doris, my sons Michael and Sean, and my brother Pat are here in attendance. Thanks for coming. I do appreciate it. I'm very honored to be selected. I'm actually very surprised. And you know as well as I do that police work is a team effort. And it's a team effort, especially at the patrol level, where we rely on each other for help. Our backup has to be there. But there are times in patrol work when you don't have a backup and you have to make a decision right away. And there are officers that are out there doing that type of thing and doing it very well. And I work with them in the Eastern District. They show what they are made of, and I'm very proud to be working in the Eastern District with them. Some of these officers come right out of the academy. They're prodigies. They're destined to be officers of the year, doing things that it's taken me 10 years to get to this point right here to do. So I guess what I'm getting at is maybe I should be the officer of the decade. I don't move along quite as quickly as they do, and but it's still a pleasure. I do work with rental property owners and managers on the east side and have done it for a long time, and I think that the work that we do is really needed. I appreciate the selection committee and the chief and those who nominated me for seeing that this type of work is important. The connections that I've made and others have made with rental property owners, managers throughout the city, especially the east side of St. Paul. Because it's not so easily measured. You just don't quite see the results so quickly. So thank you for the nominations. I do appreciate it very much. Like the chief said, I worked here since 1981. My very first supervisor is here with us tonight, Dan Bostrom. And I started with his son on that very day. Sheriff Bostrom and I started the very same day in 1981, and we both went to the Communications Center. So it's a pleasure to have both of them here today. Thank you for attending. I really appreciate it.
And with that honorable mention, we'll go to Eric Vang-Sitcler. Eric, can you come up, please? Give him a round of applause. Okay, I know we got to move this along so that we can get some people out of here that have to go back to work. You really all want to go back, right? Next, I'm going to just let some people and recognize some people for some awards. I just ask that you stand at your table and we will be getting you your citations. Top taggers, the people for all our civilians here that you do not want to run into. First Parking Enforcement Officer Mark Grundhauser, 12,819 tags in 1 year. You don't want to run into Mark. Traffic Enforcement Officer Justin Groves, 1,740 tags. Motors Officer Joseph Dick, I'm not sure if Joe's here, 2,500 tags. Joe? In our patrol district, Central Officer, and let's hold the applause till we get those, the next four people up at one time. Central District Officer Eric Stevens, 629 tags. Eastern District Officer Corey Korkendorfer, 698 tags. Western District Christopher Hetland, 489 tags. And Citywide Services Officer Steve Bystrom with 714 tags. Now, let's give them all a round of applause. Thank you very much, Jim. Thank you. Top DUI arrests. And I got to tell you that this person deserves an extra round of applause because we all know how dangerous it is to have somebody driving while impaired and intoxicated on the roadway. But what's amazing about this is his third year in a row that he was tops in the department as far as DUI arrests, and that's Officer Santiago Rodriguez with 75 DUI tags. Santiago, thank you. I'm not sure if the top gun for the department is here, but you know what? One of the things we are the best trained department in the entire state of Minnesota and probably in the Midwest on how we train our officers to handle firearms, which is very critical for us. And the top gun in the department is Officer Michael Souchere. Mike, are you here? There you are, right in front of me. And of course, we have a Top Gun award for our SWAT team members as well, and that goes to Lance Christensen. Is Lance here? Okay. And last but not least, we come to a time what we do every year called the Flying Pig Award. It's an award given to individuals who are steeped in tradition of telling stories on the department, many times at the expense of others. It's given to individuals also, though, on a serious note, that are really good cops, that have a lot of stories to tell, and as cops, we like to embellish our stories. And you know, the award winner today, this year, is someone who likes to tell a lot of stories. And what's unique is last year I actually asked him to help me up next to me here, and everybody thought he won because Sergeant Art Guerrero, the winner, wasn't present. So I needed someone to come up here and accept that award. But this individual, it gives me great pleasure to give this award to because many times I'm on the back tail end of his jokes and his stories because we work together. So I always have to go back and people say, God, I heard this about you and that about you. And I'm like, I don't even know how he became the chief with the stories this guy tells. But the winner of this year's Flying Pig Award, and he really deserves it. Let's give a loud round of applause to Sergeant Guy Stanton. We gotta get a picture with me, you, and the pig. You get the whole Now we'll take it back. You want to stay with that? All right.
You know, the highest compliment for a cop, the highest, I think, sign of achievement is to have your peers, your fellow cops, your brothers and sisters think or say that if my loved one is in trouble, if they're in need, if they've been a victim, I want, that guy or that gal to take the call. I want them to handle it. To me, that's the highest compliment. It's not whether you're promoted or if you were or what department you work for, how big the department is. I think that's kind of a defining character. All these recipients are that type of cop. I worked with Bill for years on the SWAT team. He's lost a little weight, mostly in his chest and arms. I came on with Paul, and Paul was the steady that just, you didn't ever have to worry about him. You knew he was going to be there. You knew just by being around him that he was great at his job. He was extremely committed, almost to a point that upset me because he was causing FELSA violations. You have to get paid when you do work. And he was a class act. He was a very good man. He will be missed. Eric and Mike, I've never worked directly with either one of you, but obviously I know you, and your reputations are well known in the department, and they're exceptional. So Julia and Lissa, Julia, you're right. I'm looking for you, but I'm not seeing. Oh, there you are, behind Lyle. That was really cute, by the way, how you're going to spend the future and look forward to it and all that stuff with Lyle. That's an understatement that you keep things flowing for the chief, Julia. I very much appreciate. I have a lot of interaction with that office, as you can imagine, and Julia is a savior as far as figuring out a way for the chief and myself to find time with his busy schedule. Lissa, the work you did up in IA probably will never be recognized to the level that it should be. Many cops probably don't even realize what effort it took to get the system to a level that was acceptable by the union and acceptable for the cops. The cops deserve fairness and accuracy, and you delivered that. So thank you. Everyone, the Federation, on behalf of the Federation, all the honorees and all the recipients, congratulations, good work.